But another guy I got to ask you about who's no longer with us is Mike Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Now, despite having the most stunningly shit hairstyle possibly in history, not just in the wrestling industry, he was fucking something else. He was like this big giant machine who could run about and jump about and unbelievably athletic. Of course, there's that legendary controversy of that he, one of the story was that he walked out on ECW at the worst possible time. But then it came out that what had actually happened was Eric Bischoff confirmed this, that WCW bought him from ECW. Like, you know, like if it was a football draft.
Drafted him.
Yeah, they negotiated his contract, paid ECW a certain amount of money to then take him on into WCW. So,
okay.
I guess the question I would have for you is, what are your memories of Mike Awesome and the all the backstage shit that came from him leaving?
See, now that's funny too, because the story that I heard was that he left, and he left with our belt. So that's where the heat was, because he had the heavyweight belt. So I wasn't aware that there was a deal between WCW and Paul. Like, I thought he just took a better deal and he left and he took the belt. So you're teaching me a lot. And I work there. That's the thing. You know more about this stuff than I do. And I was there for 7 years. So.
That's the embarrassing thing about it all. Like, I can't even tie my shoelaces convincingly, and I'm telling someone who's like, did you know that Mike Awesome fucking did this thing?
I didn't know. No. Mike was he was a teddy bear. He was one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. That's why I was heartbroken, you know, when he took his own life. That was a shock to me. I knew he was kind of going through a depression. When I met his wife, and I know he had children, and it's just like, you don't want to hear that about anyone, you know? So the whole time he was in ECW, to me, like, he was always a very personable guy. And I remember talking to him because we discussed him maybe putting me through power bombing me through a table. And I was all about it. I was like, yeah, we can do that. But it never got to that part because he had left. So the night that he was to come back and return the belt is when we brought Taz in. And Taz was already with WWF or WWE at the time. So you had a guy from WCW wrestling a guy from WWF or WWE at a house show for ECW, which we recorded and put a snippet on television. It wasn't even a TV taping. So nobody expected it, which was the great part. So if you were a fan in the audience, you're seeing Taz, you're seeing Mike Awesome, and you're seeing a belt change to a guy who doesn't even work for us, which was hilarious. You know what I mean? But Mike, the boys were so hot at him that I remember he waited outside in the car. I don't even remember seeing him in the back that night.
Do you think that there was a possibility that he actually could have been jumped?
Jumped?
Yeah, like by all the guys.
From the boys, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if it would have went that far. I just know, like, people just kept saying, and again, the story going around is he took a better deal, but he left with the belt. So, I mean, I think the guys were hot at that aspect, but I don't know if it would have came to blows. I mean, I just remember, I don't know if he was scared to come in or he didn't want to come in, but we never saw him in the back. He came, and then he left through the crowd and went right back to probably his rent-a-car and went back to the hotel.
Did you ever hear the story about why his WWE career went to shit like that?
No.
It's unbelievable. Right? Get ready to be nerded out. But when that whole invasion shit started,
right,
of the ECW guys coming into the WWE, Mike Awesome was the first guy to win a belt. He won the street fight title or the hardcore belt.
Okay.
Then he had a match a few weeks later with Undertaker that was shite. So Undertaker, because of all his backstage control, buried Mike Awesome and put the whole blame on him. And it was like, right, ruined. And it's like, but you're this big, fat, out of shape, fucking beer gut guy. How can it be only one person's problem? And that's one of the things that pisses me off about Undertaker is that everybody talks about him as this fucking saint on earth, but like there's a couple of crazy stories out there from like Janet Jameson has a crazy story about him that he like tried to drag her out of a bar. By the way, I fucked Janet Jameson 4 out of 10. She wasn't up to my standards.
Oh, okay.
Then there's the weird thing about what's the guy? Have you ever heard of Chris Canyon?
Yes.
That when he came out on TV dressed as Boy George for no reason, and the Undertaker just stiffed the fuck out of him as if he owed him money in real life, and you just think, why is he dressed as Boy George? I mean, obviously because of his private life, but I just thought that was so weird. And if he's this saint on earth, surely he should be saying, "Now let's talk it out. Let's work this out." But he ruined Mike Awesome and what could have been a great career, I feel.
Wow. No, I've never heard any of that stuff. You are a plethora of knowledge, must I say.
I have this. When I was a wrestling fan in that era, I was the Mark's Mark.